Okay, so a lot of you guys have been DMing me and commenting that you want to see a video concerning my thoughts on Melusi. And since I done one on Ace, I thought, why not? But mostly I've been avoiding making this video because I don't think that I can say anything that hasn't already been said. Nonetheless, I will give my first impressions on Melusi since there are so many players who are on console and haven't really experienced her yet and are dying to try her out and are just curious. When looking at Melusi, I can confidently say that she is one of the strongest defending operators to be brought to Rainbow Six Siege since the introduction of Mozzie in Operation Burnt Horizon. There isn't a doubt in my mind that she won't immediately become part of the meta, and you could probably put her on the list of operators that will have a high ban rate. And if I'm being honest, I think that's actually a really good thing. Get Flank talked about this in his review and first impressions about Melusi, and stated something along the lines of that it's better that we have an operator that is overpowered than an operator that's underwhelming, and I could not agree more. Looking at the past year of operators, and to me at least, they have all been extremely underwhelming. Yes, it took a while for some to find their places in Siege, but when you look at, Warden, Goyo, Wamai, and Oryx, on the release, they've been really underwhelming. And when I say underwhelming, I'm referring mostly to ranked gameplay and not really Pro League, because Pro League is its own thing. But in concern to Melusi, I would rather have Ubisoft make an operator that is too strong and oppressive and needs a nerf, rather than have an operator like Warden who's just so extremely underwhelming and never becomes viable. Having an operator that's too strong is much better than having one too weak, due to the fact that you do have the choice to not go up against that strong operator. You can just ban that operator if they're too much of a problem. Whereas if an operator is released and is too weak, they just don't see any playtime, and Ubisoft wasted months of development on this operator that could have been used somewhere else or actually making a good operator. But what is it that makes Melusi so strong? Well, she's a set it and forget it 3-speed that has an ability that, in my opinion, is one of the more oppressive in the game for the defenders. And when dealing with her, she kind of feels like a mix between Lesion and Goyo. Not necessarily in the way that her ability works, but just in the frustration factor of her. I think Melusi is similar to Lesion from the frustration perspective, because you'll have to deal with the Banshee at the worst possible times. You can have a defender droned out, you sneak over to them, and you get caught in the Banshee, and that hinders your movement and alerts the defenders as to where you are. Similar to the way that you step on a goo mine, it hinders your movement, takes damage, and lets everyone know where you're at. And she's similar to Goyo, but not in the sense of aerial denial or frustration, but a Goyo shield is a defender gadget that you will have to deal with. It's something that you'll have to take out unless, the Goyo put it in just an obscure place that you never have to deal with. Same thing with Melusi's Banshee. You have to take it out if you expect to get on site and execute the plant. And in a game where so much of the playtime is dedicated to clearing out defender utility, I think that Ubisoft needs to remove one Banshee from Melusi for the same reason that Ubisoft removed one shield from Goyo. And those who disagree with me are probably looking at this from the perspective that her Banshees aren't too terrible because you can just walk up to it and melee it, and it's a device that really won't damage you, unlike a Goyo shield or a Lesion goo mine. And that is a fair point. I don't think that Melusi necessarily needs a nerf because her gadget is too strong. I think her gadget's fine, but she does need one less. And this isn't really an instance where, maybe you could let her keep 3 and just make them weaker. The Banshee is great as it is. There's nothing wrong with the Banshee. It's just, I think that because it's another defender utility that you have to clear, there needs to be less. For instance, if you have a defense that has Melusi, Goyo, Maestro, and Castle, that's at least 10 defender utilities that have to be cleared, and you'll most likely have to clear them from a distance to be effective, so you have to bring a Sophia, Ashe, Callie, someone with grenades, whatever, and hope that it doesn't get intercepted by a Wamai Magnet or Jaeger's ADS. So giving 3 Banshees to Melusi just furthers the problem that is experienced in both ranked and especially in Pro League. The game a lot of times feels more like a utility clearing simulator and not a first-person shooter. And I get that that's part of the game. Trying to deal with Defender Gadget is just part of Siege. That's great. But if I'm being honest, having so much utility to deal with makes the gameplay slower for the players, and it's by the first 2 minutes and 40 seconds of Pro League is just so boring. But Melusi having 3 Banshees instead of 2 is honestly the only problem that I have with her. She's an extremely fun operator to play. She brings a utility that, can stop rushes similar to a Lesion, and it's a utility that can be easily countered. if you didn't bring anything to take it out from a distance, you can melee it, so it's not like, an Evil Eye where you have to, shoot an Ash charge at it, or Zofia, or throw a grenade, or whatever you have to do. You can melee it, and it stops. I also like how she's an operator that you really won't be frustrated if your teammate picks them. Like, you know how you get frustrated when your teammate picks a Warden or a Glaz? Melusi is extremely useful and will always be, wanted. It's not a bad pick. And I think that a lot of the old Jaeger mains have finally found a new main with Melusi. For those Jaeger mains that only liked Jaeger because he was an oppressive 3-speed, you'll love her. She is a set it and forget it utility like Jaeger. It's extremely useful to the team. She's a 3-speed and has one of the best SMGs in the game, which is the T5 SMG. And she has the option to carry either a Nitro Cell or a impact grenade, but we all know good and well you're going to be picking that Nitro Cell. So Melusi will without a doubt become one of the fan favorites in Rainbow Six Siege. So for the most part, I'm looking forward to Operation Stillwave, but if I'm being honest, the only exciting things that are coming are the new operators and the house rework if you're someone who likes playing casual. But as someone who plays, ranked and pretty much only ranked, I'm extremely disappointed that we're not seeing changes to the ranked playlist. If I'm being honest, I'm tired of playing the same maps in the ranked pool. Like, I would much rather play Fortress or Skyscraper than be forced to play Outback or Consulate again. Those are just maps that I do not enjoy, and it's getting really boring in ranked. But nonetheless, this will be an interesting season, and I think that this will be a season that will either make Siege surge in popularity or be a season that divides the fans even more. People are leaving Siege left and right for obvious reasons, and if Ubisoft doesn't address the many problems that have been voiced by the community, I feel like a lot of people are going to leave Siege. And while Rainbow Six Siege is probably in the best state that it's ever been in, I think the community right now is more frustrated than it ever has been before. Not really sure how I got off on that little tangent, but whatever. For those of you who haven't played Melusi yet and are curious, rejoice. We finally have an operator that isn't useless and boring, and it's the first time that I've been able to say that in a while. And so that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to hit the like button and subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you can be notified every time I post a video. I'm the Senator, and as always, have a good one.